I can't begin to tell you how intimidating it is to stand at this podium trying to follow Rahm Emanuel with his commitment to One Chicago, for which we give him another huge round of applause. And to be in the room trying to give a speech in front of the greatest speechwriter in America, David Axelrod, who has done so much for all of us in so many venues since virtually the beginning of time in my life in politics. It's really an embarrassment to hear all the hyperbole tonight, and I will try to refrain from tearing up here, which runs in my family from time to time. We're here to celebrate the Center on Halsted and all of you for everything you've done. I have two messages tonight. We're going to talk about a little bit of history, and then we're going to make a call to action. We celebrate our accomplishments tonight, and we go back to work tomorrow morning because there is so much work to do. The Center in Halsted tonight talks about a 10th anniversary of the building. I would submit that our struggle goes back 40 years ago when a popular Halsted Street gay bartender, Frank Rohde, was brutally murdered in his bathtub, 40 stab wounds, left to bleed to death. We were closeted at that time. Our largely closeted community was shocked and intimidated. It was the bartenders themselves who decided enough was enough and started to raise money in memory of Frank Rohde. They opened the first LGBT community center in Chicago. A few of you'll remember the 3200 block of North Sheffield, just north of Belmont. We were frightened and young and inexperienced. We were riven by rivalries and jealousies and internalized homophobia. But we came together, we collected the money to start the Rohde Center, raised the money by nickels and dimes and quarters. You could buy a beer for 50 cents back then, and occasional dollar bills in collection jars at every gay and lesbian bar in the city of Chicago. The Rohde Center had a brief shining moment. Things fell apart. We lost the building, which was our beachhead in Sheffield, and eventually the center died in a rented storefront on North Clark Street, just north of the HIV clinic. I'm sorry, just north of the VD clinic. But we kept hope alive, and Gay Horizons, which had been nurtured at the Rohde Center, became Horizons Community Services, and Horizons Community Services over these past 40 years has morphed into the Center in Halsted. We now have a safe place, a welcoming place, where we can gather and learn and recover and just be ourselves. There have been tens of thousands of donors, volunteers, almost as many staff members over those 40 years, all people with good intentions from all walks of our community. And tonight we congratulate all of you for being a continuing part of the Center in Halsted. Team, I think you should give yourselves a big round of applause right now for everything you've done for the Center. I have to turn serious now, and I'm afraid if I offend anyone, I apologize, but there are things that need to be said tonight. Despite all our victories, we as a community face the biggest threat since the emergence of AIDS. We all remember when Republican President Ronald Reagan could not even say the word HIV and AIDS. Due to his callous, cruel, and hostile indifference, tens of thousands of our brothers and sisters died needlessly. Today, the right wing is attacking us again. In Texas, where the governor is hell-bent to pass another ridiculous bathroom law. We all know more GOP legislators have been arrested in bathrooms than trans people. In West Virginia, the Supreme Court has ruled that gay bashing is not a hate crime. In Indiana, we struggle with the so-called Religious Freedom Act, signed by Governor Mike Pence, who opposes our loving marriages. And now that same Mike Pence led the Republican platform last year with its support for conversion therapy, bathroom bills, and anti-marriage insanity. Abroad in Chechnya, Trump's bosom buddy Vladimir Putin oversees a repressive regime which hunts down gay men through our Grindr and our jacked apps, tortures them and murders them. In Indonesia, as you've read, 2 men in their early 20s are getting 85 lashes for having been discovered together naked. The wingnuts are on a relentless march to roll back basic freedoms for LGBTs all over the world, but particularly here at home. We've had a Supreme Court seat stolen. Every day we are confronted with unbelievable hostility to science and technology, to truth from the very top of our government. And of course, the effort to destroy the Affordable Care Act, denying health care to tens of millions of Americans. All of us deep in our heart know that health care is a human right. Don't we know that? Didn't we learn that from our epic struggle against HIV and AIDS? Our community was powerless, and we came together in the face of this incredible, unprecedented epidemic and fought to achieve basic research funding and to achieve basic health care. Even Warren Buffett calls the so-called Trump, Pence, Ryan, McConnell health care bill a giant giveaway to the wealthy. We know who's running this country right now, and we know what we have to do about it. Yes, we are under attack. My friends, tonight there are even a few among us who voted for the new swamp creatures in Washington. Maybe you really love the orange comb-over, folks. Maybe you just hated the pantsuit. Maybe you didn't believe there was a difference between the political parties. Maybe you really believe the fantasy of a big tax cut. Maybe you believed you shouldn't contribute to health care and that people with pre-existing conditions should have to find a way to fend for themselves without health care, because that's what we'll have under the Trump-Pence health care so-called reform. Well, baby, let me tell you, we're all one step away from pre-existing conditions. Each and every one of us will end up with a pre-existing condition. One slip and fall, one tumble off the podium, one stroke, one heart attack, one unexpected tumor, and we have a lifetime pre-existing condition which under Trump, Pence, McConnell, Ryan would deny us the right to health insurance. We're in the fight of our lives again, and everybody here has a job. Everybody in this room has a duty, and none of you get a pass. Whether you march, work a phone bank, volunteer, register voters, run for office yourself, or do any one of the other countless good things you know so well how to do, the message is this: we've got to do something. Writing a check is important, but it's not just enough by itself. Action is what we need, and action is what will get us out of this national hellhole that we're in. Deep in our hearts, we all know there are two visions for America. One vision is warm, progressive, loving, welcoming, and inclusive. And one is dark, fearful, anti-gay, anti-immigrant, divisive, sowing domestic hatred, stirring up religious fanatics against us, pitting Americans against each other. We have to bring the real America back. I'm telling you, it's hard doing this in front of David Axelrod. It really is. Like America, our LGBT community is strongest when we're united. Like any family, over the 40 years of progress that has resulted in the center in Halsted you see today, like any family over those 40 years, occasionally we have rivalries, internal fights, we disagree, and occasionally a few of us make a mistake in the voting booth. Hopefully after tonight, you'll never do that again. But tonight we celebrate what's possible when we join together to reaffirm an open, accepting, progressive, and loving America. An America that can welcome immigrants and heal its sick. In that America, you can marry whomever you love. That America can build a center in Halsted. That's the America we believe in, with liberty and justice for all. We sing, we shall overcome, and yes, indeed, we shall overcome. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Thank you so much.